Peace family. This is a follow-up to the message I did yesterday. I have to do some follow-ups and more follow-ups because we need to drive this point home, and we have to be consistent in driving the point home so that there's an understanding about what we are facing with all that is happening in our country. And I am back particularly on the Cockpit country. You may notice I have my glasses on today because I intend to read today, and I'm going to read from this article by Marla Cohn. This is the article so that you can see, and it says, sexual confusion in the wild. From gators to gulls, scientists say pollution may be playing havoc with animals' hormones. Some males try to lay eggs. Some females nest together. Certain species may risk extinction. Listen to the article. In the gender-bending waters of Lake Opoka, alligators aren't quite male. They aren't quite female either. They may be both or neither. This sexual confusion in the wild, discovered in the steamy Florida swamp last year, is so disturbing to scientists that they keep performing test after test on the scaly reptiles, trying to prove themselves wrong. But the more they look, the more evidence they find. In fact, hardly any young alligators with normal sexuality can be found in this vast lake on the suburban outskirts of Orlando. And I have a lot of things running across my mind here, but I'm just going to do some reading and we can elaborate a little bit on some of the things that we are going to read, because the things that we are going to read are mind-boggling, family. Listen. Elsewhere around the world, the same astonishing phenomenon is turning up in a menagerie of fish, birds, and other wild animals. Testosterone levels have plummeted in some males, while females are supercharged with estrogen. Both sexes sometimes are born with a penis and ovaries, and some males wind up so gender warped they try to produce eggs. Are you listening to what this is saying? This is saying that there are chemicals that can alter the hormones in the body that can warp your gender and make you into something other than yourself. Wildlife scientists have... let me back up a little bit. This is no fluke of Mother Nature, no quirk of evolution. This is probably a legacy of pollution. So when we think about polluting the atmosphere, the air, the water, we are talking about serious effects, after effects, when we talk about polluting and contaminating of our atmosphere. Wildlife scientists have uncovered persuasive evidence that artificial pesticides and industrial chemicals are infiltrating wombs and eggs, where they send false signals imitating or blocking hormones which control sexuality among us. When I say among us, I'm talking about black people, because there was a time when gender confusion was not known among us. We knew who we were. Men knew they were men. Women knew they were women. Among us today, there are so many gender confused individuals, both males and females. Men thinking that there is a woman inside of them, not trying to get out. See, but actually think living as a man, you just have a male image, but inside of you, you are not male. And guess what? This is no fluke of human nature. It's something that is real as an effect of something else that has occurred. Listen. So far, about 45 chemicals, many of them organochloride, pesticides, widely used by farms and households to kill insects and weeds, have mimicked estrogen or inhibited testosterone in laboratory tests and in wild animals. Studies show that excess estrogen in the females alter her hormones to the point where she becomes masculinized, because there's a level of estrogen that the female is supposed to carry, with a limited amount of testosterone that she's supposed to carry, that makes her female, that makes her who and what she's supposed to be. The male should have a certain level of testosterone with a lower level of estrogen that should give him balance. But when his testosterone is depleted and his estrogen is heightened, then guess what? This becomes a confused male. So now, no one knows what this portends for humans who often encounter the same chemical residues in their food and water. So when we say to the government, leave the cockpit country alone, preserve the cockpit country, do not listen to people who are saying that we're trying to preserve lizards and birds at the expense of building our economy. If you mess with the cockpit country, guess what is going to happen? Our economy is going to be affected drastically, because the health sector, without a doubt, will be affected. There are going to be so many sick persons in Jamaica, and I'm not talking about just out in that rural area in Jamaica, not just in what we call the country, but right here where I'm speaking from in Kingston, we will be affected. Let me go on. Estrogen and testosterone are the body's sexual messengers, ordering embryos how to grow, When a pregnant animal is exposed to even a minuscule dose of a hormone during the onset of its embryo's sexual development, the gender of the offspring can be irreversibly altered, biologists say. In some cases, the father could be passing the defect to his young via his sperm or semen. But many animals that are dependent on heavily polluted waters for their food are suffering serious reproductive defects that have been linked to environmental hormones. Alligators and turtles in Lake Opoko, seagulls and some fish off the coast of Southern California, great blue herons in British Columbia, terns in Massachusetts, sturgeon in the Missouri River, trout in Great Britain, seals in the Netherlands, and an array of fish, birds, and mammals in the Great Lakes. So when birds get affected, they pass on the effects of these chemicals to their offspring if pregnant. Fishes do the same. And guess what? The question is being asked about humans. Do we suffer the same effects? And the facts are there to prove that we do. And our children now are evidence that, yes, indeed, when we become affected by certain chemicals that alter hormones, endocrine disruptors, as they are called, indeed, when these hormones become altered, the effect of the children is evident by what we see displayed in the children. It was very evident that the problems affecting wildlife around the Great Lakes were not in the adult animals, but their offspring. The offspring that survived were not in very good shape, said Colburn, now a senior scientist with the World Wildlife Foundation. Brothers and sisters, and I'm appealing to us, and I'm appealing to the government. And we know we're not talking about party. We are talking to governments, as governments, successive governments have made deals, signed contracts that will affect us if we do not back up on some of these deals and acknowledge our error in some of these contracts. Then the whole Jamaica will be in trouble. And guess what? Governments will be accountable because the people are not asleep. The people are waking up and they are seeing the errors. And I'm appealing to government. Know what you do. In 1980, Tower Chemical sorry about that little disturbance. I'm sitting in my vehicle, so you will find some of that happening at times. In 1980, Tower Chemical Company spilled a large quantity of keltane, a pesticide containing DDT, along Lake Opoka's banks. Fertilizers and insecticides routinely flow off nearby citrus groves and other farms, while little fresh water is allowed in. Even Hurricane Andrew took a wipe at Opoka and stirred up its polluted sediments. DDT was supposed to have been banned in America from 1970s, but DDT is still in use as pesticide. It is used for the spraying of mosquitoes that spread malaria. And we have to ask, when fogging is going on, look, brothers and sisters, this is serious stuff. We need to find out, we need to know what is in the spray that is used to fog mosquitoes. Whenever these pest persons come around fogging, we need to know. We need to know. We need the facts. Is DDT a part of the chemicals used to spray the mosquitoes? And if it is, brothers and sisters, I'm saying to you that this is a dangerous chemical and a dangerous endocrine disruptor. And a pregnant woman, these things can make you emotional, you know. A pregnant woman inhaling DDT, what's in her womb can be so affected that when that boy or that girl, baby, comes out, it comes out not knowing who it is. He or she don't know who he or she is, because you may come out with male physical the physical makeup of a male, but the internal hormones could be so affected that inside of this physically apparent male child, that male child from within thinks he's a girl, or vice versa for the female. This is some serious stuff, brothers and sisters, and it goes on and it goes on, and it's deep. It's very, very deep. Here's another article, and I want you to look at it. I'm not here making stuff up. Air pollution and human sperm sex ratio. Effects of lower XY sperm chromosome ratio among men exposed to air pollution support the evidence that the trend of declining sex ratio in several societies over past decades has been due to exposure to air pollution. So now you are going to poison the air in the Cockpit country by mining for bauxite and alumina. There is nowhere that mining of bauxite and alumina has taken place where it has not produced after effects and sometimes immediate effects on the individuals living in the surrounding area. Immediate effects, because you begin to inhale the toxins in the chemicals used to do mining, trucks moving back and forth with bauxite, disruption of soil, overflow of chemicals in the water supply that the fishes feed in their environment. The fishes migrate into other environments and their offspring already affected by the chemicals. The fisherman goes and he catches and he brings and he sells and we buy and we eat. And we have data that shows that black people are leading in every cancer imaginable. Every cancer imaginable, black people are leading in. And now, the prediction is that 1 in every 2 black men will die of some cancer or another, and 1 in every 3 black women will die from some kind of cancer or another. What's going on, brothers and sisters? What is going on? Air pollution is an environmental risk factor of concern in urban centers all over the world because of widely known adverse effects on human health. Many studies reported the strong association between air pollution and cardiovascular and respiratory diseases. Adverse perinatal outcomes such as low birth weight, miscarriages, preterm birth, impaired neurodevelopment in children, like autism. That Jamaica, when I was growing up, I don't ever remember seeing an artistic child. Don't ever remember. I'm 50 years of age. Don't remember as a young boy seeing any artistic child. No, you move around. So many children suffer from neurodevelopment or neurological development, brain defects, poorer semen quality, or change in secondary sex ratio. Look at this. Look at this article. Clouds of death. In 2012, Yale University researchers found that in segregated cities with concentrations of poor black and brown residents like Los Angeles, St. Louis, etc., the air is most polluted with fine particulate matter, which is microscopic particles suspended in the air from diesel fuel emissions, smog, soot, oil, ash, construction dust, etc. And when inhaled can penetrate deep into the lungs and are linked to asthma, cardiovascular disease and cancer. Leave the cockpit country alone. And we are still asking for a background check on the Chinese. What have been promised to them? What has been promised to them? What will they be getting for what they are giving? Because when we drive on these highways, we pay big to drive. We don't pay small. You drive a certain size SUV to Ultra Race, you have to pay almost $2,000. One trip, one way. Drive a smaller vehicle, you have to pay almost $1,000. So, we have good roads. We save time, we save tires, wear and tear and whatnot. But at what cost? At what cost? We want to know. And when I say we, you say, who is the we, brother? Who is the we that wants to know? Jamaica, we are going to be unified by God's grace. And we will know by God's grace. And our unity will be our strength. And we hope that whoever the government is in power, that they will be a part of the we and not be sellouts, selling out the legitimate aspirations of the people, selling out the wealth of the people, selling out the health of the people for some short-term gain. Peace out, family.